Oklahoma State and Oklahoma have been comfortable so far. The only hiccup for the Schooners has been off the field. Defensive captain Dusty Dvorak dismissed from the team yesterday by Bob Stoops. Initially, it was a suspension for an off-the-field fight. Then reports came to light alleging involvement in other incidents going back a few years. One of them, by the way, this week involving a man who was in intensive care for a few days. So Dvorak dismissed from the team. Now they play Oregon today, which completely broke down fundamentally last week against Indiana. 7 turnovers, 4 of them in the first quarter in that stunner. A giant step back for Kellen Clemens, who will have to try to regroup against a very good Oklahoma defense today. There's a fundamental rule here. You cannot lose to the Hoosiers, who are 2-0 by the way, and then hang with the Sooners. But might be an exception. They're not 4 touchdowns worse than Oklahoma.
Well, you know why? They got an offense. They had 500 yards of total offense, and those 7 turnovers killed them. They got to protect the ball this week. Forget about it. They can protect it, lose it, or anything else. Oklahoma's got too many athletes. They score and score. They're going to clobber Oregon and Norman.
I completely disagree.
All right, we'll see.
I think that Oregon is a team with offensive firepower and experienced quarterback. Bob Stoops' biggest challenge, besides off-the-field problems, is getting the Sooners to respect this Oregon team, because this might be one of the more skilled teams that Oklahoma plays all year, with the receivers, the quarterback, and the running back. I'm telling you, Oklahoma will score, but Oregon will score with them. Oklahoma wins, but a lot closer than people expect.
Adrian Peterson trying for a 3rd straight 100-yard game to begin his career. Interesting with Dvorak, they have plenty of talent in Oklahoma's defense. Don't shed any tears for Stoops over on that side of the ball, but you know, it's a disruption. He's a captain. He was a leader. He's off.
Yes.
My favorite.
That's a hurt down the road for that team.
Darn right
that's
it
a
is.
big hit.
Antonio Perkins with a punt return today can claim for himself the all-time touchdown punt return record in the NCAA. A lot more coming up on College Game Day. Despite their ability to slay
a bit of a rivalry, the Terrapins have won the last 4, and in fact, the last 3 meetings have been over quicker than a Britney Spears marriage. This is like Texas-Oklahoma
like Kevin Federer?
This is like Lucy pulling the ball away from Charlie Brown. You know how the outcome is going to be. Maryland have been up a combined 1 Oklahoma and Norman this afternoon, and the Sooners were without Dusty Dvorak. Before the season, he had been elected captain, but Bob Stoops kicking his standout defensive lineman off the team following an incident last weekend in which one of Dvorak's former high school teammates was left hospitalized. That young man's condition has improved. Initially, Stoops just suspended Dvorak, but after other incidents involving Dusty came to light, decided to kick him off the team. So the Sooners without Dvorak, but still with plenty of firepower, going against Bellotti and the Ducks. And here in a 3-0 game, Mr. Heisman, Jason White, Mark Clayton.
Isn't it interesting, guys, how nobody's really talking about Jason White for the Heisman? The guy who won it last year is only completing over 70% of his passes. I think he's even better this year.
That's because this guy's stealing a lot of his thunder, Mayday.
Best freshman in the country, the running back. Adrian Peterson, 40 yards on a touchdown run. And guess what? He's not done. Check him out again. Look at this move right in the middle line. So spin move right there. Take off in the corner of the end zone. What a magnificent run by Adrian Peterson.
Hits the hole so fast, full speed.
Joe Washington, Billy Sims, Elvis Peacock. None of those Sooner running backs have ever done what Adrian Peterson did. He is the first Sooner freshman to rush for at least 100 yards in his first 3 games. The show's
Coach Bellotti, you got us now. 17-7 Sooners, 3rd quarter. True freshman Adrian Peterson runs the 40 in 4-4. Check your stopwatch. He just went 40, 24-7 Oklahoma. One player in the nation last year. The Ducks had no answer for him. Peterson went for 183 yards on 24 carries, averaging nearly 8 yards per carry, became the first Oklahoma freshman to run for at least 100 yards in each of his first 3 games. I kind of amazed myself a little bit, said Peterson afterwards. 4th consecutive handoff to Peterson, and those rip of highlights results in his 2nd score, and Oklahoma scores 31-7 over the Ducks.
SC for surviving and winning this game versus not overpowering a team that many believe that they should have handled.
Well, they're fighting Buddy Tevens, as Mark May calls him. I mean, but I think you have to balance it, Reese. I think that's the point with this team right now in USC. And I'm sure you can say that USC is going to use this. They'll come together, and this motivates the team, and they're a close-knit group, the way they played in the second half and the adjustments. I think if you look at USC, however, if you look at their team, they have a great defense. They made the adjustments, but offensively, there's still issues there at times. The wide receivers dropping ball. Defensive backs can't cover all the time. It's week 4, pollsters. It's still a fluid situation out there, and I'm just saying that USC is not playing like the #1 ranked team. If I were voting, Oklahoma, in my opinion, Mark, is the most complete team. They haven't had this type of game where they had to come back in the fourth quarter and come together as a team and use it for the rest of the season. Oklahoma is the #1 ranked team in college football.
Well, I agree with you about Oklahoma being the best team in the land, but you have to go back and look at what USA was able to accomplish. They were down double digits at halftime to Stanford. Now, we don't know how good Stanford is or how bad Stanford is. Yeah, Stanford. We don't know what type of team they are, but this is a team with a bullseye on their chest. What they were able to accomplish on the road at Stanford, they came back, won the football game. It was a test. It was only a pass-fail test, but they did pass that test. But we still don't know what type of team Stanford is.
You tried to fire Buddy Stevens this morning.
That season ain't over yet.
Still a ways to go.
It's a fluid situation.
It's still a fluid situation
Absolutely.
in the early going, but SC's now won 13 straight now after that victory over Stanford. Well, the #1 rush